All right, welcome back everyone to another theme of the month. This is Coach Busy, mental performance coach at Milwaukee Stang, and I think a really good direction to go in for the month of February is building confidence. So we think about the start of the season, December and January, you probably mostly just had practices in December, a lot of practices in January, maybe one tournament. The goal is trying to just to build your team, get used to your teammates, get used to your coaches, get used to playing volleyball again after our long break because of COVID. But I think February gets a little busier. Maybe you have 2-day tournaments, maybe you have 3-day tournaments, depending on your age group. But it just gets to be so important to not just start remembering the fundamental skills, but also build your confidence. When you go into these long tournaments, you feel really good about the work you put in practice. So I think the 2 ways I'm going to talk about in terms of building confidence is, one, I want you guys to start reflecting on the work you put in practice. So I don't want us to just go into practice, do our work, go home, forget about it, do the same thing the next time. I want us to really reflect on it, which I'll get to a little later. The second is to really maximize practice time to build confidence and ultimately create success. So when we're at practices, focusing on ways that you can feel really good about yourself. So when you are in a game, you can kind of match that and do the same thing. So the way we're going to do this is using something called imagery to build confidence. Imagery, really simply put, is using our imagination. I know you guys probably do it all the time. I am a full adult. I use my imagination all the time. Daydreaming, imagining different things. It's super fun. It makes me feel really good to imagine really good things. This is what I want us to start doing in practice. So I simply put it as using our mindset to imagine we are in a different setting in order to prepare for future performance. And imagery can be done at home, in the car, before a match, laying in bed. It's kind of taking yourself back to something you did really well and remembering it, or putting yourself in a future situation like a tournament and imagining that you're performing really, really well. The important thing, though, is that we're imagining things that make us feel good and confident, not things that we struggle at, because it just kind of bogs us down. It doesn't make us feel very good. So the way we're going to do it is actually using imagery at practice to help us prepare for matches in a tournament, the same way physical preparation does. And I think doing this in practice is really important because you don't have a ton of parents watching you, you don't have an opposing team watching you, you're not in another gym or a big convention center, you're just at the Sting Center, a place that you know, you're with your coaches and your teammates who by now you also know and feel comfortable about. So I really want us to focus on building on our successes there at the Sting Center. So when you get to tournaments, you feel really good about yourself. So the way we're going to do that this month using our imagery is to imagine that you are back at practice after practices and thinking about times you felt confident and successful at practice. So I said great players practice how they play. Great players also mentally prepare and practice the way they would in a game. Use this worksheet as a journal to document successes in practice, then keep it and read through it before tournaments. So an example would be, let's say you practice on February 8th, you put that down, you write down 2 times you felt confident and successful in practice. Super simple. So you might say serve, receive, drill, passed every ball to target. Number 2 could be in scrimmage, got a lot of kills. And then maybe add how you felt about it. Felt confident, felt happy, felt joyful, felt proud, whatever it is. So then when you're going to a tournament, you can keep the sheet and read through and put your head sort of in the future in that tournament and think, well, I did all these things really well in practice. I know I can do it in a game. But it's hard to just think that way. I think it's really important to write it down and document it so you can keep these sheets and read through it and look at all the stuff that you did really well. And you kind of have the evidence of it because you'll do it right after practice. You can read through it. It's going to be your words, your actions. It's really cool. It's kind of like watching film, but we don't necessarily have film from practice, so you can't see yourself as much. I want you to do this so you can kind of see your successes in paper. Next steps, really important, keep these sheets throughout the month. First of all, use them after every practice. If you run out, I didn't make it so big, flip it over, make another box on the back. Use it throughout the month and keep it and bring it to tournaments with you. Read it in the car on the way to a tournament so you can see how great you've been playing in practice to start to build that confidence in a game too. I think utilizing imagery, especially in tournaments, to match our mindset and practices with games is really important. So if you start to feel really confident and successful in practice, I don't want that to just be forgotten about. The important thing is to remember that, to reflect on it, and then read about it and remember it when you go into a tournament. So when you're in a tournament, you've built this really awesome, confident place, this awesome, confident mindset, and you're ready to rock. As always, if you guys have any questions about this week's theme or the worksheet or any other thoughts you had, feel free to reach out to me, pull me over at practice, whatever it is. I'm looking forward to seeing how successful our teams are with staying in February. I know a couple of teams already won some tournaments the first weekend, so I hope that keeps rolling.